Welcome to the Quality Plus course for teachers. The purpose of this course is to give you a better understanding of mobility projects for VET learners within the Erasmus Plus program. This course covers a short introduction to Erasmus Plus, the purpose and benefits of VET mobility projects for your students and school, the main stakeholders in a VET mobility project and their responsibilities, as well as the teacher's responsibilities before, during, and after the mobility project. During this course, you will come across some commonly used abbreviations and terms. VET stands for Vocational Education and Training. HC stands for Host Companies, and IO is the intermediary organization. A mobility project are the activities applied in preparing and sending individuals abroad, and broadly speaking, it consists of three phases, namely planning, implementation, and evaluation. A flow is the actual movement of participants from one country to another in a specific mobility project. In this context, the movement of one or a group of VET students to a vocational training placement abroad. Let us start with a short introduction to Erasmus Plus. Erasmus Plus is the European Union's program to support education and training, youth and sport in Europe. It provides opportunities for a wide variety of individuals and organizations and has a strong focus on social inclusion, the green and digital transitions, and promoting young people's participation in democratic life. The program supports, amongst others, priorities and activities set out in the European Education Area, Digital Education Action Plan, and the European Skills Agenda. This is a visual presentation of the different sectors and actions of the Erasmus Plus program. Erasmus Plus encompasses 5 different sectors which are related to the educational field: youth, school education, higher education, VET, and adult education. It also funds projects within the sport field and the so-called Jean Monnet program. The different sectors offer different opportunities and have different regulations, and so what is possible in one sector might not be possible in another. As you can see, the VET sector is divided in 3 different actions, but for the purposes of this course, we will focus only on KA1, Mobility Projects for VET Learners. Mobility projects for VET learners provide the opportunity for work-based learning, where students are hosted in a company or other relevant organization abroad for 2 weeks up to 12 months. For example, a traineeship in a company abroad. The learning outcomes from a mobility project are formally recognized and validated at an institutional level. Mobility projects are a valuable tool for strengthening the employability of VET learners and facilitating their transition to the labor market. Mobility projects offer an invaluable opportunity for learners to develop their knowledge, skills, and attitudes. As a result, the learners broaden their horizons, widen their social, professional, and transversal skills, develop a taste for innovation and initiative, develop a sense of European citizenship, strengthen their employability, and facilitate their transition to the labor market. But it's not only the learners that extract some benefit from these mobility projects. Schools can also use mobility projects for VET learners to reach their educational strategies. Some of the benefits for schools are that mobility projects can enrich the vocational program with practical experiences and therefore enhance the students' competences, improve the international profile of the school and broaden its network of partners abroad, and make the school more attractive to potential students due to a more diverse and enriched curriculum. There are 3 main stakeholders in a mobility project for VET learners. The sending organization, that is the school. It selects and sends the learners to participate in the mobility activities. The intermediary organization, that is the link between the school and the host company. It facilitates the communication between them. And the host company, that is the place that provides the work placement for the learners. Note, however, that it is not compulsory to have an intermediary organization. Where there is no intermediary organization appointed, the responsibilities of this actor are taken up by the sending organization. For the purposes of this course, we have assumed that there is an intermediary organization in your mobility project. In a mobility project for VET learners, the main responsibilities of the sending organization are to develop the strategy for the mobility project, to ensure that the mobility project is aligned with the strategical framework of the European Development Plan, to define the objectives and the learning outcomes for the mobility project, to select the VET learners that will participate in the mobility project, to prepare them for their work placement abroad, and finally, to follow up on the results of the mobility project and to implement the learning that has taken place. The main responsibilities of the intermediary organization are to assist the sending organization with administrative procedures and practical arrangements, such as identify host companies that match the profile of the students, help with preparing the students, for example, intercultural preparation, knowledge about the city and what to bring, etc. Help with solving problems that you, as a teacher, are not able to, such as local-based emergencies, communication in local language, public transportation, etc. And lastly, the main duties of the host company are to receive your students and provide them with a program of activities that will fit their learning needs and support their personal and professional development during the work placement. To gain a better understanding of how a mobility project for VET learners is structured, we will go a little deeper into the different stages of a project and what happens during each one. Broadly speaking, mobility projects consist of three main phases: planning, implementation, and evaluation, which typically can take place over a period of 24 months. The project itself begins in the planning phase, when the school develops its own strategy for internationalization, known as the European Development Plan. Once the school has identified mobility projects for VET learners as a useful tool to furnish its students with better competencies, the next step is to identify partner organizations that will participate in the project and together write a project proposal. When and if the project is approved, the implementation phase begins. The school will appoint specific staff members to carry out all the practical arrangements, such as selection and preparation of students, travel arrangements, etc. Have in mind that one project can consist of several different mobility flows, not just one. Only after all these stepping stones have been passed will the actual mobility flow take place. After each mobility flow is completed, the evaluation phase takes place. All participating parties in the project are expected to take part in evaluating and disseminating the project's results. It is important to recognize the learning that has taken place, both on the participant level and at the institutional level, and also to detect areas that might need improvement. But now, let us go back to the implementation stage. As mentioned earlier, one project can have several different mobility flows. That means that within the same project, there may be several different groups of students who go abroad for work placements. You, as a teacher, might be part of only one mobility flow or several of them. On its own, each mobility flow has 3 stages. To put them simply, before, during, and after. Before the mobility is the time when you, for example, select suitable participants, ensure they are aware of the travel arrangements, and help them define their learning objectives. During the mobility is when the students are at their host company having their work placement, and you as a teacher support them in practical issues and in achieving their learning objectives. After the mobility, you support students in completing the Erasmus Plus participant report and reflecting on their own learning. In this last part of the course, we will look at the tasks and responsibilities of you as a teacher and of the students in relation to the 3 different stages of a mobility flow: before, during, and after. Before the mobility, you as a teacher should be involved with selecting suitable students and supporting them to define their learning goals, helping them with practical arrangements, and if the students are underage, ensuring that they provide proof of family acceptance for participation. explaining to the students why the EU is funding VET, and also present to them the important aspects of the learning agreement, quality commitment, and participant declaration. Providing the students with basic information about the receiving country and the host company where the mobility will take place. Supporting the students in some basic language preparation, such as improving their English, but also learning some basic phrases in the local foreign language. Informing the IO and HC of the level of competencies and social skills of the students. As a teacher, you know your students very well and what they are capable of. Therefore, you are the best person to do this. Students have their own duties to carry out too, such as reflect on why they want to participate in the mobility and what are their learning objectives. Learn about the receiving city and country, weather, local food, currency, learn a few foreign words, and research the company where they will work in order to be better prepared for their work placement abroad. And of course, to take care of all practical details, such as making sure they know what to bring, ensuring they have all the right documents, etc. During the mobility, you are responsible to communicate and cooperate with the IO in terms of informing the IO if some of the students get sick or face any challenges or problems in connection to their mobility experience, maintaining a neutral position and an objective opinion, as you serve as a link between the students and the IO, reminding them of their responsibilities during the mobility. Being their contact person during the mobility, students should know they can turn to you with any questions or difficulties. Conducting daily debriefings for ongoing reflection on learning, and thus making sure that the students are meeting their learning objectives, and being the link between the students and the HC. Should any problem arise, you might have to visit the host company to resolve it. During the mobility, the students should keep a focus upon the learning plan and take responsibility for it. Follow the requirements of the VET mobility. Follow instructions of the host company, such as being on time, following the dress code of the HC, embracing the culture and legal requirements of the HC. Students should also be a good representative of their institution and their country. Follow the instruction of the teachers and the IO during their free time, and inform the teacher about any unexpected situations, for example, sickness or any other problem. After the mobility flow has been completed, you as a teacher should support the students' reflection upon learning outcomes. To do this, you can use the impact board, which you can find on the Quality Plus website. You should also encourage students to incorporate in the class what they have learned during the work placement. Don't forget to ask feedback from the host company and IO. Ensure dissemination from the student's side, but also share your own experiences from the mobility. And finally, check if the students have submitted the Erasmus Plus participant report and collect all travel documents. After the mobility has ended, the students should reflect upon the learning outcomes of the mobility and try to implement the learning in the classroom or workplace. They should also engage in dissemination or sharing with peers. What is more, they should reflect on their access to labor market and evaluate their personal and professional development. Lastly, they should complete the Erasmus Plus participant report and collect the travel documents. This course was developed under the project Quality Plus, which aims to strengthen the quality of VET work-based learning mobilities. The project was co-funded by the European Union under the program Erasmus Plus Key Action 2. Learn more on the Quality Plus website.